So what's our SOP about the content we talk about?
I don't know. I think we have to use our discretion and intelligence.
There's different lighting for each camera.
That's fine. We're not gonna.
No, but I'm just. Can I finish my thought? I'm waiting for approval. Is my request approved or denied?
Gotta route that up the chain.
Fuck.
Gotta route it up the chain.
This one's great. Your camera.
Yeah.
I don't like the tone of this one.
See, these are my.
I don't like the tone on that one.
This is this one, right? No.
No, the iPhone.
Oh, we're doing a Spider-Man thing.
Oh shit! I've never seen that in real life. That's cool.
Do when you open it up.
Okay, so remember we need to watch this one. That's the recording, which is just the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Right.
After it ran aground just yards from a tiny island off the coast of Tuscany.
Try that again.
Passengers said on a day when rescue crews lifted one person to safety, they also found more bodies, bringing the death toll now to 6. And the ship's captain is facing mounting criticism. Amateur video has emerged showing the scene inside the cruise ship Costa Concordia after it ran aground just yards from a tiny island off the coast of Tuscany. Passengers say they were not told the truth when it started taking on water.
That's wild.
They described the evacuation as a scene right out of the disaster movie Titanic.
Yeah. Yes.
Pause that right there.
Yeah. Yes, you heard that. They were lied to. They were blatantly lied to. So one of the operations managers, she comes over to the people panicking, and she's like, "Don't worry, this is just an electrical problem. Everything's fine. Everyone just go back to your cabins." Go back to your cabins, as they all damn well know that there's a hole in the bottom of their boat.
All right, cool. So we're going to get into this footage from the Mexican Navy. I don't know who actually recorded this. It seems to be bystanders that were on the side. The incident occurred sometime, I don't know, approximately around anywhere between, 7 o'clock to possibly 11. But it's basically the Mexican Navy. They are going under a bridge at this time. I'm not sure if, they had like an engine issue. It's a sailboat. So.
Well, it seems like they may have lost steerage or something. Maybe they lost the engine or something because they're just heading straight for a bridge. And I feel like anyone who's commanding a vessel heading straight for a bridge probably has a reason for it.
I have my theories about that. So, because even if they did lose steerage, the speed
They should happen over there.
The speed that they were making, unless they were in like a narrow passageway and they couldn't turn, I don't understand why they wouldn't. You know what I mean? So let's check.
So something probably failed.
Yeah, let's check it out.
It seems that they have since edited it out, the crew falling.
Today, about approximately 20 hours, the ship was departing from Pier 17, where it was heading out to sea. The pilot, the captain that was maneuvering the ship, lost, power of the ship and the current. Mechanical function caused the ship to go right into the pillar of the bridge, hitting the mast of the ship where there was a couple of sailors on top of it. These sailors were injured as a result of the mast striking the bridge.
Yeah, so you were absolutely right when you crushed it. So, like, obviously, it was like some type of engineering failure right there. But I thought they were actually making way going forward. But from that video, you can tell they had been DIW in the water for a long time. But, my first thought when I see that after hearing more information on that, and obviously know what we know now, is like, drop fucking anchor.
Yeah, I was going to say, where the fuck is the anchor?
And and it looks like, unless I'm losing my mind, if you look on this, what is this, port bow right here? They could have tried. Yeah. I don't know if they're trying to do something. I mean, I don't think the anchor would be dropped from there, but yeah, what else would you do in that scenario?
Well,
that's drop anchor. You know what I mean?
That's that's the SOP. That's a standard operating procedure. As far as I've been instructed, I think that you've been instructed, and anyone that I know who's had any training that's the emergency protocol.
Yeah, that's basic. That's literally what you do. So in a situation like that, when you lose power, especially if you're in a narrow passageway and you have crew on board, Malo?
Yeah, you need to talk closer.
Okay, yeah. But in a situation like that, if you're having an engineering failure, casualty, whatever you want to call it, especially if you're in a narrow passageway on a vessel as big as a sailboat, the SOP would be to drop anchor until you can figure it out, especially if you're being taken by the current, because I know the depth of that water was going to be big enough for them to drop anchor. So it could be a number of things, like either it was panic, the captain could have been, trying to actually get the engine back up. But if I'm going towards a bridge, any bridge, and I know I'm going to hit it, or there's a possibility that I'm going to hit it, I know I'm not going to get the engine back up in, that 20 to 30 seconds or a minute.
Right. And you can work on the engine while you're on the hook. Yeah.
Yeah, right. In worst case scenario, you can call for a tow and get pulled out of there. So I'm actually interested to hear that's what I wish they would do. I wish when they have these incidents, and it's probably because I would say it's probably for good reason, the captain won't show themselves, but I would like to hear the after action report on, what the captain's first, secondary, and tertiary procedures were in that incident. I know they do that for the investigation.
Right.
But it's always good to hear because, it could be lessons learned for someone else. Like, oh, okay, cool. I see where you went wrong on that, or I see that you did everything you could do.
Right. This happened about, a month ago or something? And it's interesting because it seems like now they have changed their mind, that they at first said that they lost 2 lives and had 2 fatalities. All of a sudden now they have not. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because there is severe consequence for the captain in that situation, Speaking about severe consequence for the captain, do you know about that Italian boat, that cruise ship?
I remember that from a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. The captain literally ran aground and he left the boat.
The details on what happened, try to pull that one up. The details on what happened on that are like pretty sketchy because I heard a couple of different things. I'm not exactly sure which one actually happened, but I know everybody was giving him a bunch of shit because for one reason or another, at one time or another, he did leave the boat before everybody was, off boarded.
Yeah, and then the Coast Guard's like, get the fuck back on your ship, Captain. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, no, I need to get off because I can help on shore. He's like, stop talking to me and go back to your ship.
This is it right here, huh?
I hope that we hear the Coast Guard recording is wild. Oh, here's... Okay, so we'll listen to that after because that's wild.
Blow it up too when you open it up.
Okay, so remember we need to watch this one. That's the recording, which is just the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Right.
After it ran aground just yards from a tiny island off the coast of Tuscany.
Try that again.
Passengers said on a day when rescue crews lifted 1 person to safety, they also found more bodies, bringing the death toll now to 6. And the ship's captain is facing mounting criticism. Amateur video has emerged showing the scene inside the cruise ship Costa Concordia after it ran aground just yards from a tiny island off the coast of Tuscany. Passengers say they were not told the truth when it started taking on water.
That's wild.
They described the evacuation as a scene right out of the disaster movie Titanic.
Yeah, yes.
Pause that right there.
Yeah, yes, you heard that. They were lied to. They were blatantly lied to. So one of the operations managers, she comes over to the people panicking, and she's like, don't worry, this is just an electrical problem. Everything's fine. Everyone just go back to your cabins. Go back to your cabins, as they all damn well know that there's a hole in the bottom of their boat.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So, just hearing that, immediately pissed off. Because I understand, and you see it in movies or whatever the case may be, where you have some type of incident and, it's the government official. It's like, hey, we want to reduce panic. In some scenarios, it's you need to panic.
Right.
You need to panic, not telling people the information they need to know to make an informed choice about where they need to go. In my mind, I'll tell you, I think I've told you this before, we would give briefs. And obviously, during the brief, depending on what you're talking about, I'm looking at the mic levels too right here. Depending on what you're briefing, people are going to be either checked in or checked out. I've experienced briefs to where, I'm laying out the sea state, the wind direction, all that shit. And, people they're listening, but they're not, you know what I mean? But when I'm getting to something to where I'm briefing, like, hey, this is the part of whatever we're going to do, and that if you don't listen or know this, you could potentially die. Like, I put extra emphasis on that because you should, so people can understand it and be like, all right, cool, I need to know that. If you run aground, that's something that people should know.
Yeah.
That was an ego thing. Had to have been.
Absolutely. And the craziest part about that is what happens if you run aground and you're, creating a hole in the bottom of your ship. You're going to be taking on water, right? If you're taking on water unevenly, your boat starts listing, where it starts going to one side or the other. You have life rafts on both sides of the boat. Now you can't launch some of the life rafts because your boat has listed, and now it's like the angle is wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, time is of the essence. If someone said, go back to your cabin in that situation, if I survived it, I'd be a millionaire. For sure.
100%.
Because that's crazy. That's 100%. Like completely reckless. And she went to jail. So.
Oh, was the female captain?
No, she wasn't the captain. She was like some operational manager or something like that. Not a captain. She was like cruise ship staff though.
All right. So I'm missing that part. So they ran aground and then they hoisted somebody on board, or she was already
on board. So it was like this huge, maybe we should watch the video so everyone can see.
Let me keep it going. Hold on.
Because the ship was tilting on our rescue boat, and there were many people on the boat, so the boat kept on, our lifeboat was tilting, and they had to use hammer to cut the ropes. And all of a sudden, after 5 minutes,
fell from 4th floor
to the water.
The captain has been detained. He's accused of steering the ship too close to shore, perhaps in a move to delight the island's tourists. An Italian news agency reports that authorities say the vessel was only 150 yards off the island when it ran aground. The ship's captain denied it on television, but
what
he
a
did
turd.
admit he was maneuvering the ship in what he
freeze it right on his face.
Yeah, and then let's watch this video about him being a turd. So you see this man? Watch this.
And that's even worse too, because it wasn't even an engine casualty. He just wanted to get. He basically went off PIM.
Yeah, like the video that I saw, which honestly,
so PIM for you guys too as well, plan of intended movement.
So there was like rumors that he was like with some woman, whatever, and he was just not paying attention, and they were like, "Hey, Cap, we have to go." Like,
the story is
10
old
degrees.
He should have just started off. That's how the news report should have started off. First of all, the captain was with some woman. I would have known from the beginning, like, this ain't
fucked up.
This is about to go down the fucking drain for sure.
Yeah, so I heard that version of the story, and also, so they requested, hey, we need to, go 10 degrees starboard, like, now. He's like, busy right now.
That'll happen, too. That'll happen. That actually happened to me one time when I was a baby swickle. A baby Swick, new guy, and I was a navigator.
Swick is a special
warfare combat crewman. But depending on your position, especially if the captain is like trying to show off for some chick, you know what I mean? It wasn't a situation like that, but there are circumstances, I'm sure everybody can relate to it. If you're the subject matter expert in whatever you're doing, or you've been given the power to make a decision and inform whoever's in charge so they can do the right thing, they won't listen to you sometimes. So there was a scenario where we were going from San Clemente Island to
Catalina?
No, not to Catalina. We were going
Mexico?
Northmore. No, Port Rainimi.
Okay.
And before we went, I have to report the nav brief. So I went to the people who were in charge. I'm like, hey man, it's going to be a small craft advisory, but it was like, no fail mission. We got to go. Long story short, well, I will say this one part. But, they were like, hey, like how bad is it? And it was outside of the sea state threshold for our vessels. And it was building too. And then a lot of people, they don't even consider the wind wave with the sea state, because that's going to add another foot and a half, 2 feet to whatever the sea state's going to be. So, jokingly, I'm like, the maritime forecast, it just had a statue of a nun crying blood saying small craft advisory. you know, over like we shouldn't go out. But of course, it was like, you know, fuck you, shut up, you know.
I'm in charge.
We're doing this, but we broke a bunch of our shit. Awesome. I mean, some of the people that follow me, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about the night. Broke a bunch of our comms, night vision goggles, you name it. And by the time we got back, if anybody's ever been in a really big sea state, and for those of you who haven't, like depending on the boat you're on, we were on speedboats. So, you know, the bow is just slapping. The boats we have, they want to go fast.
Right.
That's how they plane out. So if you slow down, and most times if you're in a sea state that's too big, you'll have to slow down. You're just going to... We did that for about 3 hours. By the time we got out, like, you know, people are like pissing blood. It was crazy. Like it feels like you got your ass kicked when you get off. But we were down hard with broken equipment. So, and then it's like, did anybody check the sea state? So, but
I love the energy of like, oh yeah, we're doing this and I know exactly what we're doing, to like, who could have let this happen? Same guy, obviously.
Right.
I was on a boat one time too. It was 105 feet. It was a really big boat. Sorry, give me one moment.
Oh, you can bet.
It was a really big boat, and we're gonna have to cut that.
Cut what? Absolutely not.
I'm gonna itch my nose.
It's fine.
Okay. Anyway, so one time I was on a boat. It was 105 feet. Awesome vessel. However, there's a horrible like mixed swell. It's just nasty. And you know when you just have that feeling that it's going to get ugly later, but it's not forecasted, but you just know. Like you just tell like the water looks different that day. It feels different. You're just like, there's something going on here. It was that, but it was also forecasted to be generally shitty as well. So anyway, we go out still because, you know, we're getting pressure from the owner, from the charter fleet. Everyone wants to please the customers, which, you know, we're like, fine, like it's safe enough. And when we came back, again, it was unreported on the weather report, but it got nasty. There's like 6 to 10 foot swells. You know, everyone was there trying to party and drink, but at this point, everyone had to just sit down, be inside, and not throw up. That was the whole goal, you know? And it just sucks when you're trying to, you know, talk to people, tell the point of contact, tell the one booking the charter, like, hey, like, it's not even going to be a good time. It's not safe. It's not in anyone's best interest.
Right.
You know, me personally, if I'm the master in command, if it's my vessel that I'm commanding, it's a no for me, dog. You know?
Right. And then just so you guys that are listening, obviously mariners know this, but there's a difference between your news report and your maritime forecast. So typically, when you check the weather, you know, everybody goes to Google and, you know, weather in San Diego, awesome, beautiful. I'm living my best life. I'm far above the power curve. I'm an outlier in how good I'm living my life because I'm in San Diego. Things are fine for me. We are the opposite of hungry, wanting. You don't check that weather. There's a maritime forecast that tells you the sea state. NOAA puts out buoys and everything, and you know they are tracking the sea state, wind wave, all that stuff. And then you also have the predicted swell going in. It's a whole different report that you need to research, and then you use that in conjunction with the normal weather report to get, you know, your wind direction, sunrise, moonrise, azimuth, end of evening, nautical twilight, etc. So we'll probably go into that later. I might show you guys how to do that stuff. But let's get back to this video before ADHD take us any further than we've already gone.
We're gone.
I love this destiny.
We've been gone.
Yes.
Okay, remember that clown? Remember him?
The dramatic moment the Costa Concordia went down and the full horror of the sinking cruise liner was revealed. These are the audio recordings of frantic conversations between the Italian Coast Guard and the ship's captain.
Mi dice se ci sono bambini, donne o persone bisognose di assistenza e mi ne dice il numero di ciascuna di queste categorie. È chiaro? Guardi, Schettino, che lei si è salvato forse dal mare, ma io la porto veramente molto male, faccio passare l'anima dei guai. Vado a bordo. Sto qua per coordinare i soccorsi. Che sta coordinando lì? Vado a bordo, mi coordini i soccorsi da bordo. Lei si rifiuta? Non non mi sto rifiutando. Lei si sta rifiutando di andare a bordo, comandante? No, ci sto andando. E mi dica qual è il motivo.
He's already off board.
Ci sto andando perché ci sta l'altra lancia che si è fermata. Lei vada a bordo, è un ordine. Lei non deve fare altre valutazioni. Lei ha dichiarato l'abbandono nave. Adesso comando io. Lei vada a bordo. È chiaro? Sto andando a bordo. Vada. Mi chiami immediatamente da bordo. C'è il mio aerosoccorritore lì. Dove sta il tuo soccorritore?
Media is so wild. Media is so wild because that doesn't even give the full picture of how much this dude was like, no, I can't get on board. There's no way. Like, he was really, really not trying to be there for his passengers.
Yeah, first of all, fuck this dude.
Crazy. It's
100%,
crazy.
100%. Like,
why would the Coast Guard talk to you like that?
I'm watching this and I'm like legit getting pissed off. Like, I've been on boats in crisis. You know what I mean? Like, and you got to keep in mind. So look at it like this. Let me get some camera action over here. A lot of people think about these situations, and you know, I have a proclivity to want to stay away from cruises because I know how around this time a lot of stuff was happening with cruise vessels on the water, Navy vessels, and you know, in the event that something goes on, my mind always deviates to in the unlikely event that there is a casualty or issue at sea where we're sinking, like. And I have multiple people on board that I care about. I'm going to have to pick and choose who I can save, which is just nightmare fuel for me. I'm taking my wetsuit, fins, all kind of stuff, planning out how far I got to swim in the event something happens. But in this scenario, people aren't prepared for this. I mean,
they don't have a ditch bag.
People even in the Navy, you would think people in the Navy can swim. They fucking can't. They do a little test in like an Olympic-sized pool where they swim like 25 yards and they do a flow test and shit we don't even wear on board. But that's the military. These are just regular civilians that are trying to go out with their family, their kids. You're on this huge vessel that's literally the size of a skyscraper that is now on its side, underwater. The captain, the person that's been deemed responsible by the proper authorities of whatever flag they're flying, has abandoned the ship. You have no idea what's going on. I don't know if you've ever been on a ship before, especially that size. It's not easy to figure out where you're at. So they're probably lost. Mind you, the power's out.
On some floors, yeah.
And if, depending on where you're at in your room, you can't even go up.
Yeah. Yep.
And the captain is just like, I'm gone.
Yeah, he just left.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's a fade on sight for life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
From every member from every relative on board this vessel, that's a fade on. You need to go listen. You need to go collect your fade. Go collect your fade. He should have a fight every day until he passes away. Don't be the one to make him pass away. That's not what I'm saying.
That's not
what I'm saying.
Not at all.
I'm not telling you to do that. Accidents happen. But I'm not telling you to do that. But just go collect your fade. If you had a child that was born in the year that this happened, when he grows up and becomes of age and adult, he needs to go collect his fade. For real. But yeah, that's wild. I didn't know it was this bad.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I really didn't.
Horrible story.
But
horrible story.
I've heard enough. I've heard enough. Like, I don't need to get all the details. Like, I can,
some
infer.
Is too many. Like, for this situation, some is definitely too many.
In any event.
But the biggest thing is they were his first officer, the guy underneath him, who's also a licensed captain, is like, hey, bro, we need to change course. We have to. And they're like, nah. Francesco's like, no, we don't need to. So that's the biggest part. And then, obviously the whole abandoning his crew.
And it's like, how far off, you know what I really want to see? I want to see how far off PIM they went. Like, how they said the captain made a decision to get closer. And if we're talking 200 yards, even 500 yards, it wouldn't have made a difference.
I don't think that part's true either, because he's saying stuff to cover his own ass.
100%.
Like, so he's saying, oh, I was doing it for the guest. It was for the guest.
Right.
Like, absolutely fucking not. Why would you do, first of all, if you did it for the guest, you're a piece of shit. Like, you did it for the guests and then killed people?
Hey, why'd you do it? I don't know. I just wanted to make the people happy. Hey, That's Captain's Course 101. Always make the people happy. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. And then to have it audio recording of the Coast Guard basically telling you your shit back, dude. Like, go back and perform
I gotta
your
say,
duties.
this make the people happy thing. So, as you know, we're both licensed professionals. I'm dual licensed with my nursing license and my captain's license. One thing that I did not appreciate about either career, one thing that I do not appreciate about either career is if you are not working for yourself, you are answering up to people who will try to sway your judgment.
That's right. Tell him, baby.
So, hey, this is dangerous and unacceptable. I'm not going to allow it. And they're going to say, yeah, you're gonna allow it because we're telling you to do that and we've hired you. It's like, well, this is my license. I'm going to protect myself and my passengers or myself and my patient. So I've been in that situation.
So the significant majority of people, and I really noticed this in the last like 5 years, and I'm sure you have too, people just say stuff just to say it, even though they don't know what they're talking about and they're aware of it.
Yeah, so they can feel important.
And then it's like, no, I know. To the degree to where it's like you almost have to hide the fact that you're a subject matter expert in whatever people. I do it intentionally now. I really do. I won't even tell people, and I'll let them talk themselves into a hole. Even in other scenarios, I won't always tell people like my subject matter expertise just to see how they speak to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I actually started doing that because of social media. I was telling you earlier, I made a post of just docking a 27-foot sailboat, bow in, and, you know, some captain from wherever just had all this shit to say and didn't know anything about me. But, you know, back to this situation, it's like when you're put in a position of authority, especially if you're going to be responsible for the safety of other people, which should be the thing that really drives that pride and ownership.
Absolutely.
Your actions will impact the livelihood of other people. Like, it's giving me chills right now. Like,
absolutely.
You have more than an ethical fucking responsibility. It's your duty.
Oh, yeah.
Like if that dude would have stayed on that boat, got off as many people as he could, broken a leg or worse, passed away, died. Obviously, you don't want to die. That shouldn't be your goal. But in that circumstance, it's like you made a mistake. You're an idiot. But in the end of it, you know, fulfilled your duty.
Right. I would go down with my ship.
But to make that mistake and then show cowardice and then completely turn from your duty, it's like you don't recover from that.
No, you don't. You should be the last motherfucker on your ship.
It's like I can't respect you in any facet of life after that. Like,
absolutely.
You know, and I'm not saying that this dude should have a burden that's too big to fucking carry. But
you did say that he should catch fade every day of his life.
100%. I don't
that's
believe,
a burden to carry.
I don't believe that's a burden that's too big to carry.
Yeah,
considering like how many people did they say died?
I'm not sure. I think isn't the double digits though.
Yeah, because he didn't tell him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's worth a fade.
Yeah. Anyway.
Every day. You know, but yeah, you know, that's pretty wild. I think it's enough said about that because I can go on about that all day. At the end of the day, you know, don't be a turd. Just be a good person.
Right. I'm gonna share a little glimpse of my nursing history. Which
Hell yeah.
Would probably piss off the people I've worked for, but they are not disclosed, so it doesn't matter. But I was working at this place where I was taking care of plastic surgery patients, and
go ahead, baby. I'm sorry. Sorry, babe. It was there. I announced that ADHD is a thing. Look at the birds. If we're talking about nurses.
So I worked at a, what?
Nothing.
So I worked at a plastic surgery aftercare where, yeah, like the top surgeons from the undisclosed city that I was in, which is a surgery capital of the world, sent their patients to. And this one patient so anyone who's into medical stuff will immediately know what this is a symptom of. But she was in the bathroom and we're changing her garment. She had gotten like some boob stuff done and some tummy stuff done. And she takes off her garment and she didn't just do like a, you know, like when you have something tight on, she did like a very sharp, deep, pronounced inhale like that. This is a sign of a pulmonary embolism or an embolism of some sort, right? That's like the key thing that we look for. Then I find out it wasn't reported on the last shift, but she's coughing up blood, right? I'm like, oh, okay. Like, can you save it when you cough up the blood? Save the blood, right? That's something you have to do as a nurse, right? That's not something that you're like, oh, it could just be the intubation from the surgery table. Like, no, let me see it. So immediately I'm reporting all the stuff to the doctor, right? And I'm like, I think she needs to get out of this facility immediately and go to the ER. And they're like, nah, just keep an eye on it. I'm like, did I fucking stutter? Like, you went to med school and, you know, I'm trained to recognize this so I could tell you so then you can make this judgment call and nothing's being done. And everyone I ran it to totally blew it off. So I went to the patient. I said, hey, I don't want you to die. I have reason to suspect that you can die if you stay here. You need to go. And so I've tried to like pretty much like barter with her. Hey, you know, when you come back, I'll make sure that like anything you want, you can have like use your call bell. I will like pick up anything off the floor, like whatever, just please go, right? She goes, she had a fat embolism. And if it was any longer, she would have died, right? I was told no by all my higher ups. And in these moments, as a licensed professional and as a human being, it's really important to be stubborn. Very important to be stubborn. But it's crazy how all these professions where you have a license and you're responsible for lives is all the same shit, different place, you know?
Well, I think since I had the privilege of serving in the military, like I got to see like a lot of people that were granted subject matter expertise that were one, both shit hot, and then two, like absolutely clueless to the degree where I can recognize it very easily. And I can also recognize the in-between to where a person is shit hot, but they just question themselves because they want to do a really good job. And that is a thing.
Right.
That is a thing, but it comes off just because of their personality, introvert maybe, that they don't know what they're doing. But,
right.
You know, they typically always get the job done.
Right.
And I think we just kind of like are in a society now where everybody's so sensitive. They expect not to be called out on their bullshit. Because I've seen it so many times to where people who are not the subject matter expert make comments based off common sense rationality.
Right.
And it just makes whoever does have the subject matter expertise feel a certain type of way. And then in them feeling a certain type of way, they treat that person less than.
Right.
And then it turns out, you know, the person who wasn't a subject matter expert was right because it's basic common sense. You know, and then it's like, oh, I'm sorry. But it's like, if you would have just at least listened to me a little bit.
Right.
You know, just to check it out
right.
in the function of your duty.
Right.
Then we wouldn't even have wasted this time. But my thing is, if my name's on it, regardless of how I feel, I don't want anyone to be able to say anything to me.
Right.
And then I have, what's really important, we always talk about those standard operating procedures.
Yep.
To where it's like, if something didn't happen, whether it's me or I'm overseeing it, or even if I'm working under somebody, I have my own standard operating procedures. And if I'm working for somebody, I won't step on their program. Right. But I will still go through my checks, and I'll also figure out what their standard operating procedures are.
Right.
And I'll over-communicate. I will over-communicate, and I'll tell people straight up, like, if we're doing something that's serious and important to where something could go catastrophically wrong, I'm going to over-communicate. I'd rather you tell me, like, I got it, shut up, don't,
right,
than not tell you enough.
Things can definitely go catastrophically wrong, and they do. They absolutely do. And that's why I would recommend making sure that you're CPR certified so that if there's an emergency, you're able to respond. Because when you're on the water, help is at least 15 minutes to 45 minutes away.
Yep. Spin up time for the Coast Guard usually takes 30 minutes for a helo to spin up.
Right. So
people don't think about those things.
It takes 4 minutes to have brain damage after your heart stops beating. So.
And that's the good. Give me some camera action.
Here's some camera.
And that's the good word. We're going to get back on it. Hey, you guys want us to react, review, or even just provide some type of critique to anything, or if you just want to say hi, just let us know. Let us know. We'll make it happen. Give yourself some camera action. Is that show into the camera action noise? Just the W noise is wild.
Hold on.
No, I got this one.
I take that back.
No, it's all good. It's already happened. We'll see you on the water.
See you on the water.